Welcome back to Quick Business Tips. I'm Jennifer Swinford, and today we're talking about one of the most exciting transitions in the life of a successful service business. It's the time in the life of your business where you've built something absolutely amazing. Your clients love you, not just for what you do, but for how you do it. You bring that special touch, the deep integrity, and your servant's heart to the center of your business. But now you're ready to scale and you know you can't do it all by yourself anymore. So it's time to answer the big question. How do you grow a team without losing the magic that built your business in the first place? How do you hire people who care about your clients as much as you do? Today, we're going to go beyond the basics of hiring and talk about how to build a team that embodies your values, protects your culture, and scales your impact with integrity. Now, the traditional hiring playbook tells us to focus on skills and expertise. And so often we find ourselves looking for the perfect resume, an impressive portfolio, or a candidate who has done the exact thing that we're looking to accomplish before. And while competence is important, focusing on skills first is often what fails. Because you can hire the most talented designer or the most efficient project manager in the world. But if they don't share your core values, if they don't believe in serving clients in a way that goes above and beyond, if they don't prioritize authentic connection, or if their ego comes before their empathy, they can do far more damage to your brand than someone that's a little lighter on the skills, but has a big heart and a desire to learn and grow. Because we all know that clients aren't just buying your deliverables, they're buying the experience of working with you. They're buying the business culture you created. And you can't train someone to care. I've found that hiring a person because of their heart and helping them increase their skill set is far easier than trying to do it the other way around. But before I was able to make that change, I had to make a mind shift as a business leader. And I had to change from hiring help to cultivating a business culture. Because when you start to see that you're not just plugging a hole in your business, you're not just offloading tasks, you're actually inviting someone into your business's ecosystem and you're entrusting them with your reputation and your clients' relationships. Then you know that every hire you make is either going to strengthen your company culture or it's going to dilute it. And unfortunately, there is no in between. So when I started to look at hiring through this lens, the entire process changed for me. Everything changed from the job description to the interview questions to the onboarding process, checking everything. It became much less about finding a person who could do a job and more about finding the right person to help move the business forward. So, how exactly do you go about hiring for values like integrity, empathy, and a servant's heart? Well, you have to ask different questions than maybe you've been asking before. You have to go beyond what would you do if and dig into their past behaviors and their core beliefs. So here's an example. To gauge empathy and focus on your clients, instead of asking, how do you handle unhappy clients? Ask a question like, tell me about a time a project went wrong. Tell me about the situation. How did the client feel? And what was your role in making it right? Listen for whether they blame others or take ownership themselves, and whether they focus on the client's feelings or just the logistical fix. If they answer this question, quote wrong, it doesn't mean that they're out of the running. It just means that you might need to work on that a little bit more or ask a question that can where they can offer another type of example. Now, to gauge integrity, instead of asking, "Are you an honest person?" Because that's a little uncomfortable, right? Ask, "Tell me about a situation where you had to choose between the easy way and the right way. What did you do and why?" This reveals their decision-making process when faced with an ethical dilemma, even if we're not talking black and white and we're talking about some different shades of gray. Now, if you're looking to gauge a servant's heart in someone, you can ask, "What does good customer service mean to you?" Can you give an example of a time where you delivered a truly exceptional experience for someone? This helps you see if their definition aligns with your philosophy of unreasonable hospitality. What you're listening for is the why behind the answers in these questions. You're trying to understand their character, not just their qualifications. But of course, during the more basic interview process, you are going to ask about some of their past experience and qualifications. But today, we're digging deeper than that. Now, once you've hired someone that aligns with your values, your work isn't over. Your onboarding process can't just be handing over logins and a list of tasks. You need to immerse them in your culture. And this is where the business playbook that we talked about in a previous episode becomes essential. As we've discussed before, your playbook should include a brand and values guide, but don't just have them read it, make them a part of the process. On their first day, sit down with them and share the origin story of your business. Why did you start it? What are your core values that drive every decision that you make? And what is the transformation that you are looking to achieve with every one of your clients? Share specific examples of client wins and challenges and explain why certain approaches worked and how it reflected your company's values. And make sure that you have your new hires shadow you on client calls or during project reviews, specifically asking them to observe how you communicate and embody the company's values, not just the tasks that you're completing. By onboarding this way, it ensures that you understand how is just as important as the what. The final piece of empowering your team to act with the same level of care and integrity as you would is the hardest step for so many leaders. It requires trust and letting go, which is one of the most difficult things for me. Because true delegation is not just offloading tasks, it's about delegating the responsibility and the ownership of those tasks. In order to do this well, you need to do three things. One, you need to define the win. Be crystal clear about what success looks like in every situation, not just in terms of the deliverables, but in terms of the client's experience. Number two, you want to give authority, but keep them inside boundaries. Give your team authority to make decisions that align with your values. For example, you might give them a small surprise and delight budget that they can use to practice unreasonable hospitality without needing your approval for every gesture. And make sure you celebrate the how, not just the what. When you give feedback or praise, don't just celebrate that they completed a project well. Specifically call out and celebrate how they embodied the company's values. Something like, "I was so impressed with how you showed empathy on this difficult client call," is far more powerful long term than, "Thanks for handling that call so well." When you are leading in this way, your team doesn't just feel like they're working for you, they feel like they are part of your business. Now, if you're ready to start building the heart of your business by hiring some amazing team members and building a company culture, this is one thing that you can do this week. Write down one interview question designed to reveal the client's core value, or the candidate's core values, not just their skill set. Use examples like we talked about as a starting point and start your questions with, "Tell me about a time," is a great way to get started. And even if you aren't hiring right now, having this question prepared and in your back pocket will allow you to think differently the next time you are ready to hire. If you're a business leader looking to scale, but feeling stuck on how to do it without losing your company's soul, I would love to talk to you because that's exactly what we do at Limitless Impact Agency. You can book a free strategy session with me, and we'll map out a plan for your growth that aligns with your true values. There's a link in the show notes. As always, don't forget to subscribe to Quick Business Tips and leave us a review so that others can find this podcast more easily. Until next time, lead with integrity, build with heart, and keep striving for limitless impact.